Are you ready? Oh, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Let's do this thing, man.
The League Podcast.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? You got Dylan and Jay here with the League Podcast.
Top of the morning.
Yeah.
We back again, once again, back from Japan. We put out our last podcast in Japan. We're back in the States, and it feels good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great time in Japan with my brother, Jay. Got to see a lot of cool things, but it's definitely nice to be back home with the family and, back to business.
Yeah, and on the right time schedule for all the updates in the football world because it's been madness.
Jeez, man, all these crazy trades. I mean, I feel like we're playing Madden franchise mode, doing our thing.
Whenever I play Madden and do crazy trades and stuff like that, I'm always like, this is just so far-fetched. Yeah, I don't know. This wouldn't actually happen, but this offseason solidified for me how realistic though everything could be when it comes to trades and how crazy teams get when it comes to dishing people out and all that good stuff. It's been awesome.
Cool.
It's
pretty
been
cool,
awesome.
Man.
But big news this morning, Jarvis Landry. What happened to this morning, Dill?
So, as you all know, Jarvis Landry was traded to the Cleveland Browns, and sure as can be, he got what he wanted. He wanted money. He got it.
Cha-ching.
5 years, $75 million contract. I mean, he's going to the bank.
The man is paid.
Yeah, $47 million guaranteed, so he's getting paid out. He's good for life now, man.
Ex-Dolphin is feeling nice out there in Ohio, without a doubt.
Absolutely, man. And
good for him.
Yeah, I'm happy for him.
And
he's a baller, dude.
He's a baller, and I can't wait to see what he does with Tyrod and Josh Gordon, Flash, and Corey Coleman.
Soon, Saquon Barkley, question mark?
And possible franchise quarterback soon as well, ? But we'll get into that because we are doing a live mock draft here today.
First mock draft of the season. We're 2 weeks away, so I think we'll be updating it closer and closer to the draft. But this is just our first little thing, and obviously we're not doing any trades today. So there were some spots where I was like, okay, I don't think they'll be here. I don't think they're going to get this guy. But, just like all the other mocks, we're just going to stick straight to it and, do pick by pick.
But, like last year, I mean, I could have never predicted Chicago would jump to number 2 and trade for Mitchell Trubisky. So, we never know what's going to happen, who will trade up. But I do know, I think we both agree there's going to be trades. And I think we both agree that Browns at 4 could possibly be trading out of that number 4 spot and get some serious equity,
Absolutely.
in this year's draft, in next year's draft, and who knows, even the following draft, 2020.
Yeah.
So, but like Dill said, we're not going to get into any trades, even though I want to, and I know you want to too, because there will be.
We will. We're definitely gonna
as we get closer,
different. Closer on, and kind of get more insight. Because right now it's just everything is up in the air.
Yeah.
Like we got an update this morning that Saquon Barkley, Mika Fitzpatrick, and Bradley Chubb, 3 of the top players, aren't even going on private visits. So
is that because they're so confident and know what they have in those 3, and then because they only have the 30 visits, they're using it for farther down because they might be getting some ammunition later in the draft. So, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah.
But today, let's get into this mock draft, Dill. What do you say?
Absolutely. And I know that, before we, started this, we agreed we would each do our own and kind of put them together and agree on ones and kind of make one mock draft. But after going through, there's too many. So we're just going to do our version, Dill version 1.0 and J version 1.0. So like we said, we're going to give you guys a few more before the draft, and it'll probably change every single time. So let's get straight to it, man.
Definitely, man. So with the number 1 pick, the Cleveland Browns, they're on the clock. Who do you got, Dill?
Well, Sam Darnold's pro day, I thought that he was going to be the guy, but as the weeks get closer and closer, it's just more and more rumors about Josh Allen going there, and
there sure are.
All I can do is believe them at this moment because they know more than I do, or do they? So I'm going Josh Allen first pick. I mean, they have Tyrod Taylor there, so they don't need anyone to go in and start immediately. So it leaves some space for Josh Allen to develop a little bit because he's still a little raw, but he looked amazing at the combine. He looked amazing at his pro day. I mean, from what I've heard, is all his private workouts have gone amazing. So
very well spoken. You see, any interview, he blows Sam Darnold out of the water, in my opinion, when it comes to speaking to people. And I can only imagine what he looks like in front of coaches and staff.
Mm-hmm. He knows football.
Exactly. So I love that pick. I love Josh Allen. When we watched him in Japan at the combine, well, we were in Japan and they were at the combine. he was one of and we did a chart. I took a chart of how many throws each quarterback actually made in all of their drills, and Josh Allen was ranked out of all the passes my number one quarterback because he didn't miss. He hit everything on a dime, and his arm talent, like in that video, which I know everyone's seen from his knees, throwing 60 yards or 50 plus yards. The guy's a monster, cannon of an arm, very accurate, big body, just, your ideal quarterback.
Exactly. And, everyone wants to point back to competition and his record and everything, but, you looked around the talent of his offense, his offensive line, his offensive receivers, his running back, trash.
Subpar.
They were very bad. You put them in Sam Darnold's shoes or Baker Mayfield's shoes or even Josh Rosen's shoes at their schools. I mean, I think Josh Allen would have been the Heisman winner. I think he would be undoubtedly the number one pick in the draft. So
I love that pick. I am strictly going with Sam Darnold because of his pro day and because I saw. We all saw the owner sitting with Sam Darnold's parents. We know that the owner took the parents out to dinner and Sam Darnold to dinner in Malibu the day before his pro day. I just feel really confident in that front office taking Sam Darnold, and he's obviously all the reports he's the number one guy. He fits that pro offense. And trust me, I don't like Sam Darnold as much as I like Josh Rosen, but I don't want to be biased, so I'm gonna take Sam Darnold with this number one pick.
Okay.
All right. So with both those quarterbacks off the board, so as soon as we, like Dill said, we wanted to agree and see if we can come together on a mock draft. But starting with the number one pick, we had different picks already, so we knew this wouldn't work. So obviously that'll shake up number two a little bit because, with Sam Darnold off the board for me, I took at number two with the New York Giants, Bradley Chubb, because they just got rid of a key player at that last position, and I feel like they want a new, fresh face. Their GM, he's picked 3 defensive players in the last 3 drafts. He's very, very defensive, I think, pick heavy. So I got Bradley Chubb going number 2 to the New York Giants, but that's under these circumstances because with Josh Allen taken first to the Cleveland Browns, Dylan has who at number 2?
You know what? I actually did a little mix-up. I changed things up a little bit. I'm going with Saquon Barkley with the number 2 pick. I mean,
I thought about that.
They're keeping Odell Beckham. They're not trading him, so why not put more firepower on that offense for Eli Manning? They have a good team. Obviously they're pretty weak at the offensive line, and that needs to be built up. But I don't think that they take Quentin Nelson with the number 2 pick.
It's a bit of a reach.
It is, but if he is that All-Pro guard, then it'll be worth it. But
yeah.
Saquon Barkley is, once again, amazing pro day, amazing combine. I mean, this guy is amazing 3 years at Penn State. So he can catch, he can run, he can block, he can return, he can do it all.
I would love to see that. It was between either Saquon Barkley, Quentin Nelson, or Bradley Chubb, and I really wanted to go Saquon Barkley, but they have quite a few running backs already, and none of which matters. The Rams picked Todd Gurley, 2 years ago when they had running backs too. No one thought about that. I love Saquon there, and I love how it would shake up the draft because I think the Browns kind of think that they're locked in with Saquon at 4, and so they have ability to kind of do whatever. So if the Giants did take Saquon at 2, that would be, I think, amazing.
It would be awesome, and we saw last year Orleans Darkwa had a pretty good year,
He did.
And
sat on my fantasy bench for the last half of the season, and he had 10-plus points every week. I could have started him every week.
Having a talent like Saquon instead of him, I mean, I can't even imagine what the damage you could do with Odell Beckham healthy in the lineup, and I do think that later on in the draft, the Giants will draft another receiver, maybe second, third round, one of those top guys, because I think there's not going to be many receivers in the first round. So I think that receivers will fall, and there will be some talent later on. And, I think they build that offense back up because even their defense is pretty solid. They do have a couple pieces that they need to fill, but for the most part, they got a good D-line. Even though they got rid of JPP, they spent a lot of money on Olivia Vernon and Snacks Harrison, what's his name, So they definitely do got some talent on that D-line and some young guys that they feel pretty comfortable with is what I read. And I don't know. I just think Saquon Barkley is the best player in this entire draft. So
without a doubt. I like that a lot. So with that being said, you switched it up a bit. So Sam Darnold is still on the board in your draft.
He is.
Which would then leave the Jets up, who are in a quarterback need. So I'm kind of guessing that maybe Sam Darnold fell to 3 for you.
Sam Darnold to the New York Jets. I originally had Baker Mayfield here because he's the quote unquote the next who is in Broadway Joe. So I think that he's 2.0. But if Sam Darnold falls, I don't think they can pass up on him. They obviously have 2 other quarterbacks there with Teddy Bridgewater and Josh McCown, which I think Sam Darnold can come in and start right away, but I don't necessarily think he should. I think he should come in and sit a year or two.
And I have a quarterback going there too, and I don't see any quarterback going there with their quarterback depth already being the starter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's a perfect transition into next year taking that starting role, or 2 years from now, you know, if they happen to sign Teddy for 1 more year. Or I guess this is a prove it year for Teddy, so I bet after this year he's either going to get that big contract or he's not. You know, so but yep, I got a quarterback there too. I don't have Darnold, but I have Rosen at 3 to the New York Jets because Darnold is off at 1 on my board.
I love Josh Rosen.
Me too,
I think he's got so much talent.
I would love to see even the Giants take Rosen at 2 just for the future because Eli, what do we have, 2 to maybe 4 more years on the maximum. You could get a Josh Rosen who's could learn behind one. I mean, Eli Manning's probably going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Of course, dude.
So to be able to learn behind one of the greatest, I think, I don't know, that's kind of a big statement, one of the greatest, but he is a monster, and he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. So you can't hate on Eli, even though you want to. So Josh Rosen, though, I do have 3 falling to the Jets. And that will leave number 4 for me, Saquon's still out there, who I completely agree is the best player in this draft. And it's hard, it's hard for me to even think that he wouldn't go 1, but because Browns have so much firepower, they have the ability to do a lot of stuff in this draft. So I do have Saquon, just like most people do, have Saquon falling to 4 at this pick. Saquon will be taken by the Browns, but I think, like we've talked about, Browns trade this pick away. So this is all speculation.
Yeah, I think Browns trade the 4th pick with the
Bills.
The Bills.
12 and 21.
I do. I think they get both their first round picks this year, and I also think that they get a first round next year. I think they get 3 first rounds out of this, and yet they're not going too far back at 12, so they can still get a pretty good player to fill in a position of need. Whether it be an offensive lineman or it be a defensive end or any of those guys like Marcus Davenport will be down there. Just guys like that, because at 4 I do have Bradley Chubb going to the Browns because Saquon is now off the board, and between Saquon and Bradley Chubb, those are the 2 guys that I think that the Giants are interested in at 2 if they don't take quarterback, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
We know Jets are going quarterback 100%. Bradley Chubb is, he's a top 5 player in this entire draft for me. So, I think the Browns, this would be a steal for them having Bradley Chubb on one side and Myles Garrett on the other for years to come. So, love this pick. I love Bradley Chubb. I think the Browns are doing big things this offseason, and I love it, man. I'm really excited because they've been garbage for the last however many years, So
making moves, man.
Yes,
they're gonna make a bit of a turnaround this year, without a doubt.
And then my 5th pick would be the Broncos, and I do think that they're a big candidate to trade down as well. If one of those quarterbacks are on the board still, as in Josh Rosen is on mine. So, if Josh Rosen does fall to 5 and the Broncos don't trade, I truly believe they take quarterback, and Josh Rosen's a perfect guy to go to this organization and learn under. Case Keenum isn't the best quarterback, but he's a good mentor. He mentored Jared Goff when he came out of college, and Josh Rosen is pretty ready. So he could, if Case Keenum shits the bed, they could replace him, and Josh Rosen would be quote unquote the most ready to fill in for a starting quarterback role this season as a rookie. But even so, Case Keenum's only got 2-year contract. Yeah. So Josh Rosen will come in, and even if he sits for 2 years,
learn the offense for 2 years, get in the groove, and then without a doubt.
And the only way Case Keenum is keeping his job is if he makes a playoff, if he's winning. If he's not winning, he's benched. Dude. Yeah. He is not going to he's not going to keep that starting spot. So I do think Josh Rosen goes number 5 at the latest. I think he is a top 5 pick as well. Just because there's so much talent at quarterback, and you don't know really how they're going to turn out or whatnot. But I think it's a really good class of quarterbacks, man, compared
Definitely.
to the previous years.
So I got a quarterback at 5 as well. It's not Josh Rosen. It's another Josh Allen, who you have at 1, but I have Allen falling to 5, who I really do like on the Broncos, fitting with them. I think obviously John Elway wants to get that franchise quarterback in there. He's just looking for the right guy, and he's going to have to, I think, see who falls to him at 5. I love the thought of them trading out of it if one of those quarterbacks isn't there for them, because there could be a very big quarterback run the first 4 picks of this draft, So if there's not someone they love, then I could see them trading out as well. But I do like Josh Allen if he's still there and this goes accordingly. Them putting Josh Allen to learn, and like you said, I mean, you hit it spot on. I don't need to elaborate on it anymore about Case Keenum. Maybe isn't the greatest guy to learn behind, but at least they could learn the offense and still learn from him. I mean, took Vikings to the playoffs last year. He's a decent quarterback, obviously. So I think it's very fit that a quarterback does end up in Denver, whoever it may be, with that 5th pick. So and it was hard for me to not, because I would love to see Bradley Chubb at the Broncos too and line up,
absolutely. And,
Von Miller and Chubb on each side. That'd be sick. And then I also would love to see Quentin Nelson on the Broncos as well, because they need offensive line help. But I think for who runs their team, John Elway, I think that they're getting this franchise quarterback with one of those top 4 guys.
Yep.
But that leads me to my next pick. The Indianapolis Colts, they have an Andrew Luck who I don't know about right now. I mean, he's still on the POP list. He still hasn't even thrown. He's still, it seems like they're confident in him still, though, in what they got.
Trading down. They would have never traded down if they weren't confident in him coming back and playing.
So because of that, I think Andrew Luck will get back in there, and they need to protect Andrew Luck. So I have Quentin Nelson, going to the Indianapolis Colts, and in my eyes, Quentin Nelson is a top 5 pick, because we talked about it. He's going to be an all-time all-pro offensive lineman on this squad, whoever squad gets him. So I think that it's a good fit for him, and it'll help that running game if they can get one going and keep Andrew Luck
they draft a running
safe.
back as well.
Yeah.
Down later,
second round, exactly. So they need the running back, and I would love to see if somehow there was a whole quarterback run. I would love to see Saquon on the Colts. It would be cool to see Barkley on the Colts. Or there's all this talk about C.J. Anderson possibly getting traded. What if Saquon fell to 5 on the Broncos? That'd be a pretty cool fit too. Lots of different possibilities. But right now I got Quentin Nelson going to the Colts.
I agree with you 100%. They need to protect their franchise $1 million man, Andrew Luck. So I think they go Quentin Nelson as well. I think if Bradley Chubb does fall, they might have to hop on that train, because Bradley Chubb is also an amazing player, and they do need some pass rush help. But at the end of the day, they need to protect Andrew Luck. So Quentin Nelson, number 6, 100%. 7, Buccaneers. I have Mika Fitzpatrick coming to town. He's one of those players that can either play safety for them or even corner for them. So, it was tough for me here because I was in between Denzel Ward and Mika Fitzpatrick, and I think that they are pretty weak at the safety position, and they did re-sign Brett Grimes, who is up there in age. They also have Vernon Hargreaves, who's he hasn't turned out to be that first-round pick that that talent in the first round that they expected.
Yeah. He's definitely getting better.
He is.
He's every game I see more out of him. Every year, last 2 years I've seen more out of him. So I love Vernon Hargreaves.
Me too, and that's why I think that they go with Mika Fitzpatrick over Denzel Ward, because he's more. You can move him around more. You can put him in the slot. You can put him on the outside. You can put him at safety. So wherever they need to kind of fill him at, kind of like the Honey Badger in a sense, they could fill him in that spot. So Mika Fitzpatrick is my pick at number 7 to the Buccaneers, because they definitely need the help.
I could totally see that. I do agree with you with Vernon Hargreaves. I'm just thinking about on the other side, they got Brent Grimes as well, but behind them, there's a bunch of nobodies, So
right.
I do see them. They have a couple, they have Brent Grimes, who is injury prone, got hurt last year, was hurt quite a bit, and Vernon Hargreaves. So I do actually have them taking the best corner in this draft, Denzel Ward, just because they don't have the depth there, and that they had one of the worst pass defenses in the league, and I think that's why
We
we
did.
both took DBs, because we recognize that they need help back there, whether it's a safety or whether it's a corner. Take either the best safety in this draft or the best corner. So I like both of these picks at Tampa Bay. I think they could go either way with Denzel Ward, who I got at 7, and Minkah Fitzpatrick, who you have at 7. So
Sir.
at 8, I have the Bears taking some linebacker help. I have the first linebacker off my board here, Tremaine Edmonds, going to the Chicago Bears. I think they could. I think their D line is solid, but I think interiorly on that their linebacking core, I think, is where they need the most help, and just to help with run stopping and pass defense and all that good stuff. I really like the fit with Tremaine Edmonds. Maybe he'll be the next Brian Urlacher. Who knows? But they're looking for that bully, back there, and they do have what's his name, Danny Trevathan.
Yeah.
So it'd be perfect to learn behind him. I think they run a 4-3, huh? The Bears.
Or it's a new defense this year.
So if it's a 3-4, Tremaine Edmonds would work out even more perfect, because then they can have Trevathan and Edmonds both in the middle to really just lock it down, So that's what I have at 8 for the Chicago Bears.
I got Denzel Ward for the Chicago Bears. They just signed Fuller to a huge extension, or they matched the Packers' offer.
Dang it!
But that solidifies that one side at corner. But on the other side, they are not hurting. They re-signed Prince Amukamara for a 1-year deal, correct? So they only got him for 1 year, and he's not the solution there. Just like you said with Brent Grimes, he's had injury problems and he's older, so he's not the main guy. And then behind them, they don't have much depth. So I think that Denzel Ward does come in and fill with that other corner spot, and even if he plays slot corner this first year with Prince on the outside, next year he can transition to the outside to, just a year of kind of getting in the league.
He, in my opinion, would take over Fuller's number 1 spot.
Oh, of course,
because Fuller is good, but he's not great. And
he had a great year last year.
He
so
did.
1 year, you don't know what you're getting.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we'll see how it plays out this year, and that could really, really help them out. Having, Fuller can step up as well. Then that could really help, because they were hurting on pass defense as well last year. Yeah. So they could definitely use. I think this pick is a defensive pick.
I definitely think that
sure.
Tremaine Edmonds could be that pick, but I actually have him the next pick after. I think the 49ers do need to solidify either a corner. So I think if Denzel Ward falls to 9, I think the 49ers do take him.
Definitely.
But with all the trouble that Reuben Foster has been getting in, I do think that they need to solidify that middle linebacker spot with someone like Tremont Edwards, just in case. And I believe they run a 3-4 as well. So, even having those two guys in the middle would be a dynamic duo for years, just like Pat Willis and Navarro Bowman were for them years ago. So,
definitely.
I definitely love Tremaine Edwards. He's young. He's 19 years old. He's a beast. He's huge. He's got the size. He's got the speed. He's got the vision. He's got that football mentality. So I do like 49ers either going with Denzel Ward or Tremont Edwards,
Yeah, man. I have 2 linebackers back to back. I made a little switcheroo. I have Raquan Smith from Georgia going to the 49ers for the same exact reason. Because of Reuben Foster and the trouble he's been getting in, I think that they need somebody to be able to lock that down. And, hey, if Reuben Foster stays out of trouble and he's there, they even have a more solid linebacking core, obviously. So, but I have a linebacker going there as well, so I see we're pretty aligned on that pick. And who I did a little switcheroo with was Minkah Fitzpatrick to the next pick, number 10, who is the Oakland Raiders. I think the Oakland Raiders need DB help wherever it may be. I think that they need help with safety. And the thing with Minkah Fitzpatrick is he's hybrid. He could play corner. He can play safety. He can come up in the box and help like a linebacker. There's so much you can do with him. I think they need help in that DB core. So I have Minkah Fitzpatrick falling to number 10 with the Oakland Raiders.
All right. I got back-to-back linebackers as well. I got the Raiders going with Raquan Smith because they got destroyed by the run last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their defense is what killed them last year. They just couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stop the pass. So I could also see them taking a DB if one of those top guys falls to them at number 10. Raquan Smith, he's from Georgia. He showed that he's a beast. He played against good talent in the SEC. So I
Absolutely.
think that he's going to be able to fill right in there and start at linebacker for them this year. So I'm excited about that guy. I like him. He's got a great attitude, and it was cool watching him in the national championship. He just got heart, man.
Yeah.
He just got heart.
Absolutely, and that's
what
hard
you
to
need.
find.
Yeah, exactly.
Both of our picks coming from the SEC. I like it.
And number 11, it looks like we're both aligned on this. I made this little switch, like I said right before we started. So, I do believe that this is a better fit than what I had earlier. So go ahead, take it away, Jay.
Baker Mayfield, I think, what's funny is Baker Mayfield, I don't know, maybe some people saw, he tweeted before, I think right after the college season ended, and he said, I'll see you guys in Miami, or he said something along those lines, and it was a big controversy on, like, what the heck, like, how is this even happening? What are you, predetermining where you're going, yada, yada. I was like, what? There's no way, but sure enough, I think the Dolphins are, if they're there, if the person is there, I think they're going to draft a
Or trade
quarterback.
up.
Or trade up
Or
and
trade
get
up with,
really
the
get
Broncos
who they
or
want.
something, because I do think that they need to get a quarterback. Ryan Tannehill has been so up and down that you don't know what you're going to get.
They need someone to lock
He's
it
like
in.
Sam Bradford. He's so fragile that, as it's shown that when you're that injury prone, you usually don't make it, or you do, but it's just a season-to-season thing, like Sam Bradford's now doing. 1 year, $20 million, 1 year, 20, which he's making out. But
he won't have to work again. But that's the struggle. So Baker Mayfield, we have going at number 11 to the Miami Dolphins, who I think is a pretty similar style to Ryan Tannehill's gameplay. He's able to move, get outside the pocket, make throws, make good throws. He maybe doesn't have the biggest, strongest arm to get it downfield, but he can throw it hard. When he throws it, it's a bullet.
Pretty accurate.
Yeah,
too,
and he's very accurate. So I could see them going with a guy that they want to turn, into a franchise guy with Baker Mayfield. And it seems like Baker Mayfield wouldn't have any problem going down to South Beach, Miami. So that's good. We're aligned there. I have another quarterback going at 12, back-to-back. I really like the fit with Lamar Jackson going to the Buffalo Bills. And this is only if the Buffalo Bills don't trade up within the top 5 to get someone that they really love, like a Josh Rosen, like a Josh Allen, like a Sam Darnold, depending how that plays out. I really, if the Bills stay at 12 and don't trade up, I like Lamar Jackson going to them because of the similar play with Tyrod Taylor and Lamar Jackson. I really think that their styles are pretty similar. I think Lamar Jackson can scramble even better than Tyrod Taylor. And I think it's going to be, tough because I think Lamar Jackson is going to be a better quarterback than A.J. McCarron. I think it's going to be pretty similar to the Deshaun Watson, Tom Savage deal. Was it Tom Savage?
It was. Yeah.
So, they may trust A.J. at first, but I think Lamar Jackson, if he does end up in Buffalo within the first week to 2 weeks, he's going to take over that starting job and, be a pretty similar story to Deshaun Watson, in my opinion. And I like the fit. And they also, luckily, they have another pick in this draft, but with Richie Incognito just retiring, they're going to need some help on that offensive line as well. So they got a lot of work to do in this draft. So is it worth giving up their depth in this draft for that top quarterback, or should they keep it and get some more depth on their team with these picks? So that's who I have at 12. What about you, Dill?
I think there's no doubt that they trade up in this draft for one of those other quarterbacks. I got Lamar Jackson as well, but I don't think that they take Lamar Jackson just because there's a reason why they traded Tyrod. I don't think that they like that style of play, and I think that they're looking for more of a pro style, more of a in-the-pocket type of guy, but they do need a quarterback. So if Lamar Jackson's the only guy they can get, they're going to get him. He's got so much talent, and everyone says he's Tyrod but better, So I don't know, man. This is the toughest pick because, like I told you, I am 99% sure that they're trading up and they're getting one of those top 3 quarterbacks, one of those pocket passers, Josh Rosen, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, one of those guys, maybe even a Baker Mayfield. So I have Lamar Jackson going here, and like you said, Rich Incognito just retired, so I do think that they get offensive linemen down in the draft as well. So next pick, 13 Redskins.
Who do you got, Play?
I got Vita Vea, the defensive tackle from Washington, because they got torn up with the rush too, you know. So I either had them going with a linebacker or I had them going with a defensive lineman, defensive tackle, run stuffer, and you know, with both of those top linebackers coming off the board, I had to get a middle guy.
And not
So-
even to mention Washington to Washington. I love that
Washington to
pick. And, you
Washington.
know, I would have had Vita Vea higher as well. But I feel like they have they run a 3-4. So they run a nose tackle, which Vita Vea would perfectly fill that
beautiful.
spot up. But they do have some depth at nose tackle, so that's the only reason why I
But
didn't go.
it's not
But
very good.
it's not very good,
They-
and
they were
that never
terrible last year,
matters.
you know?
That never matters. If the player's better than anyone they have there, they're gonna get that player. So I really do like the fit with Vita Vea. I just looked at their strong safety position, and their starting strong safety is DeShazer Everett. Honestly, don't even know who
I
that
don't
is.
either.
So I'm just gonna be honest. That was
Don't
one
either.
guy that I know, Ziggy Hood, and you know I think they can rock with him for another year at least. So that's the only reason I think the more needed spot. They just traded Sua Cravens as well, who kind of filled that strong safety linebacker role. So I have the best safety in my book coming off the board with Derwin James. But is Derwin James a free safety?
He could play either or.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
So he's a hard hitter. He's a ball hawk. He can play in the box. He can do everything. So and so could DJ Swearinger. I feel like DJ Swearinger can play free or strong as well. So I like this fit with Derwin James, the best safety in my book, coming off the board to the Washington Redskins with this pick. I mean, Florida State obviously breeds monsters when
They
it
do.
comes to the DB position. I mean,
Yeah.
Jalen Ramsey 2 years ago.
Marcus Joyner.
Your boy. I mean, I think Derwin James is a top talent. I wish I could get, fall to the Packers, which is one pick away. But I really like the fit with Derwin James going to the Redskins with the 13th pick. And I'm going to transition right into the 14th pick because this is my most anticipated pick of the NFL draft. It's the Green Bay Packers on the clock. And there's a few ways they can go with this. I mean, I think they need offensive line help. I think they need corner help. And I think they need receiver help tremendously. Behind, their two receivers, Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb, it drops significantly. So I'm kind of torn on this. I would love to see Calvin Ridley get drafted to the Packers, but I do think it's a little bit of a reach, and there's better players on the board than Calvin Ridley at this spot. And because they just got rid of our number one, Demarius Randall, I think the cornerback position is such a need. I'm going with Josh Jackson, one of my favorite corners in this draft. I just question his speed a little bit, but other than his speed, I love everything about him. His ball skills, his footwork, his hip movement. I love everything about Josh Jackson. And he proved it. He didn't let a touchdown, he didn't let a person score a touchdown on him after the week 4 in the college season. His last year. So I love Josh Jackson. I think it's a great fit for the Packers to draft a corner. But like I said, they could use an offensive lineman. They could use a receiver at this spot. So, but I have Josh Jackson going to the Packers. What about you, Doe?
I got Josh Jackson going to the Packers as well for every reason that you said. I almost did put Calvin Ridley here because of the receiver situation, but like you said, they traded their number one corner away. So this is something that they struggle with too, is stopping the pass, and that's what really killed them last year. So,
Injuries, man.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they go Josh Jackson, but I also have Derwin James still out there. So it's one of those things where they can maybe get Derwin James because he is one of the best players in this draft.
And they just got rid of Morgan Burnett. I know they're very comfortable with Josh Jones, and I love him too, but he's still very, very raw. Derwin James, I mean, seems more pro-ready than Josh Jones.
And he's a baller, but I think that they need another corner so
definitely.
bad. So I do think that Josh Jackson is the pick here, or depending on if any other corners fall, like Denzel Ward or Fitzpatrick.
If one of those guys are out there, which I pray.
Or the Packers might trade up. You never know.
And that would be amazing because who knows? We need running back help too. What if they went crazy and drafted Saquon Barkley? I'm just kidding, but seriously. And one more thing on that. The Green Bay Packers, they have such luck drafting receivers in the later rounds. So I feel like that's one of the main reasons I didn't take a receiver this pick as well. But we got to get on to this next pick. And today we're actually just going to be covering the top 16 picks. So
we actually got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Just kind of what we were talking about earlier with our boy Reuben Foster. He was actually charged with a felony of domestic abuse.
Oh, goodness.
They are going linebacker. I think it's no doubt they need to, so
that sucks.
We hit the nail on the head.
Reuben Foster's a monster. He's a beast. I wish he could, I hope the best for him. That sucks, but I think that locks in a linebacker pick for that spot.
Absolutely. And like you were saying, we're just going to cover the first 16 picks today and give you the rest.
We're going to break this into 2
tomorrow.
We're going to break this into 2, and then from there, we're going to, obviously next one we'll be able to do is talking about trades and get more into it. But so we'll get through this. We have 2 more picks left. We have the Cardinals at 15 and the Baltimore Ravens to wrap up our first half of the mock draft. So Dill, at 15, Arizona Cardinals, I think they could go a lot of different ways with this. They need help in a lot of different spots. What do you think they're drafting with this 15th pick?
Like I said earlier with the Packers pick, if the Packers don't take Derwin James and he's out there for them at 15, I think they jump on him. They just got rid of Tyrann Mathieu.
Yep.
They just got rid of, I can't remember their other safety's name. He's a little bit older, but he is really good as well. So both their safeties are gone. Now they have Buda Baker coming in, and he's going to fill that.
Was it Bethia?
No, it was, I can't remember what his name is, but he is a free agent right now. Let's see if we can find out which. They released them. So, or they just didn't re-sign them. So right now their free safety spot is pretty thin. So I do think that they take Derwin James if he's out there. And
what a pick! Man. I think that would fit. Well, how that would work out to be able to not sign one of the best safeties in the league with Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger. And then to be able to draft have a guy fall to you at 15, like a Derwin James.
It's a match made in heaven, but Derwin James is a top player in this draft, so if he does fall to them, or the Cardinals are also a big team to watch for to trade up for a quarterback. They don't have tons of firepower, but I think that if someone does fall like Baker Mayfield at 11 or anything like that, they could maybe be in talks with the Dolphins and give Dolphins some more ammunition to protect Tannehill or give him more weapons or whatever it may be. But, I do think that if they stay in this spot and Derwin James is there, it's a match made in heaven.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to piggyback that a little bit on because I think they need a quarterback too. And I have Lamar Jackson going at 12. But mind you, if the Bills trade up and they go get one of those quarterbacks, I could see a situation where Lamar Jackson doesn't get taken until he's on the board for the 15th pick. So, if that happens and the Buffalo Bills trade up into the top 5, Lamar Jackson could still be out there. I could see the Arizona Cardinals drafting Lamar Jackson with this pick. But because I have Lamar Jackson already off the board at 12 to the Bills, I'm going with offensive line help. And this might be a little high for Orlando Brown because of, he had a bad combine. There's been talk of him falling. But I just think they need to protect David Johnson and whatever quarterback they have back there as much as possible. So I like the fit, and I love Derwin James' fit. I really do. But I like them drafting offensive linemen. So I have Orlando Brown being taken at the 15th overall pick.
I like it. I like it a lot. But actually, to be honest with you, I don't even have Orlando Brown in my first round whatsoever.
Yeah, and I was very scared. I probably should have went with Will Hernandez up at this pick, but I didn't, but that'll probably change, definitely. But, I think they need the help there because I
agree 100%.
He's a tackle.
Yeah.
So, and at the right tackle spot, they don't have much. It's very weak, very thin. And I just think about David Johnson. They need to get him the rock, and they need that offensive line to help push. So that's what I got going there. So at 16, this is going to wrap up our first half of the draft. Let you take it away, Dale. Who do you got with the 16th pick to the Baltimore Ravens?
So I do think the Baltimore Ravens have a lot of spots they need to fill as well.
Definitely.
Defensively, I think they're pretty solid. There are a couple pieces that they could add. On offense, I think that's where they really are hurting, and they need more talent. I do, a lot of talk about Lamar Jackson going to the Ravens or Ravens drafting a quarterback because Joe Flacco's contract is just crazy for the production. But if they do not trade up or they don't take a quarterback, I do think that they give him more weapons, especially with Mike Wallace now out of the Ravens organization. Jeremy Maclin out of the Ravens organization. I do think that the first receiver comes off the board with Calvin Ridley. They are not a team. They've struck out with high picks with receivers in the past few years, so it is a little scary. Yeah, so it is a little scary, but they need it. They need it so bad, and like I said, I think Calvin Ridley is the best receiver in this draft, the most safe bet with the receivers. Not the highest ceiling, but I do think that he proved to be one of the top receivers in the nation.
Without a doubt.
So I think the Ravens go Calvin Ridley.
And I think he has good success in the NFL. I like Calvin Ridley a lot, and I think that's a great pick. And how scary it was that Jeremy Macklin's gone.
Mike Wallace.
Michael Wallace was gone. I was like, that offense has gone to crap.
Yeah.
Then they signed Michael Crabtree. Michael Crabtree's now on the Baltimore
That's right.
Ravens. They have Brashad Perryman, who I think hopefully maybe can do something in the slot or as that fourth receiver. Maybe he does something this year, or he proves to be a total bust like he's been this year. They have Chris Moore as well, but I think with that pick, Calvin Ridley, that turns that offense right from scary to actually looking pretty nice because I'm pretty confident in Alex Collins and Javarius Allen back there in that backfield. And even Kenneth Dixon proved to be.
You're forgetting about Kenneth Dixon. He was a starting running back last year until he got hurt.
Yeah, so they got the depth at running back to say the least. Their receiving core definitely I think could use the help. I, on the other hand, have them picking a linebacker. All right. They have great linebackers. Don't get me wrong. They got C.J. Mosley. They got Terrell Suggs. They got Patrick Onwuzor, who I don't really know. So
I mean, Kamala Correa he was a first or second round pick a couple years ago. Darius Smith
is pretty good. Yeah.
But those are the outside linebackers.
Those are those outside linebackers you can see. In that middle linebacker core, they got C.J. Mosley. They run a 3-4. So they need that extra middle linebacker. I really like this guy, Leighton Vander Esch, coming out of Boise State. He's a beast. This guy's big, long, and athletic. He's received many achievements, dominating in college. So I really like this pick. I think they could use the linebacker help. I think they could use a little more defensive help. Not help. I think it could make their defense even better because they have a pretty solid defense already. So I think they could go either way, though. With that Calvin Ridley pick, it really solidifies the rest of their offense and helps Joe Flacco a lot. And I think this defensive pick, it really helps lock it down and get that offensive ball more. Yeah. So either way, I got Leighton Vander Esch. Dylan has Calvin Ridley at the 16th pick with the Baltimore Ravens. So we did our top 16. We need...
Yeah, man. So top 16 in the books.
So we are going to pick this back up tomorrow. We'll do the 17th through 32nd pick, there's a lot of juicy picks in there too. This is a deep draft. There's a lot of good players. So I'm really excited to do the rest of this and get this all into your ears so you can start preparing for next NFL season.
Yes, sir.
So guys, please follow us on Instagram at theleague.podcast. Please follow us on Twitter at theleague.podcast and then on Facebook at theleague podcast, all right? Subscribe to us on YouTube, turn on post notifications. We're going to start bringing lots of info fast because of, not only the draft coming up, still there's going to be players being signed and we got fantasy talk. We got fantasy coming and we got a lot of rankings. We got mock drafts for fantasy coming up. This is the best time of the year. This is Christmas time coming up. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm excited. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast and the next one to come. Jill, had a great time.
Hey, amazing as usual. I'm so excited to get into the loop. I'm so excited for this for the draft 2 weeks away. First round, it's pretty awesome, and that weekend I'm actually having my baby shower for my baby boy, so we'll be watching the draft, it's a
wearing our jerseys,
tailgate party, so it's going to be all football themed, so it's pretty rad. I'm super stoked for it.
Definitely looking forward to that. Congratulations, Dale.
Thanks, man. So, guys, stay tuned. We're coming at you hot. Have a great day.
See ya.
What did I do? What did I do? The league, huh?